The 21st century begins October 1, 1982. EPCOT Center, Walt Disney World.
On October 1st, 1982, EPCOT Center officially opened. Filled with the spirit of optimism, the park featured many attractions that taught guests about mankind, its achievements, and how it could shape the future. Take Spaceship Earth, for instance. In this slow-moving, dark ride, riders learned about the history of communication, from its earliest times in cave drawings to its usage in computers and its bright future with new innovations. The Universe of Energy taught its guests about innovations in energy, even taking its guests back in time to the age of the dinosaurs to see how energy evolved over time. But one of the best examples of this, and my personal favorite, was GM's World of Motion.
EPCOT Center at Walt Disney World in Florida.
World of Motion opened with EPCOT Center on October 1st, 1982. Following a rocky history with the passing of Walt Disney, the disputes over what EPCOT would become, the many design phases of the park, the necessity to find sponsors, huge expenses in construction, and a deadline that inched closer every second, EPCOT Center finally opened on October 1st, 1982. The park was built with two distinct sections. The front half, Future World, and the back half, World Showcase. Future World taught guests about how mankind could shape the future by exploring themes like communication, agriculture, imagination, and of course, transportation through sponsored pavilions. The World Showcase featured sponsored pavilions that showcased the country's culture and identity through entertainment, shopping, dining, architecture, and in some cases, attractions. Estimated to cost anywhere between $800 million to $1.4 billion, EPCOT Center was a huge risk for the Walt Disney Company. This was the first time they had ever attempted anything on this scale before. This was the first non-castle Disney theme park, and there was a lot riding on its success. Not only was the company's financial stability riding on the park's success, but the final dream and legacy of the company's founder was going to be put to the test with this new theme park. The construction of EPCOT Center lasted 3 years. The park went through a lot of changes from its original inception to what was originally built, with many pavilions coming and going, and major shifts in the park itself. Ultimately, the park was given an opening date, October 1st, 1982, the 11th anniversary of the Walt Disney World Resort. With the deadline set, the park now had to race towards the finish line.
Here's the Spaceship Earth, where we'll board a time machine and journey through thousands of years of history into tomorrow. And right over there, Communicore, the center of it all, where we'll see and touch the future. And this will be New Horizons, 21st century living on the land, under the sea, and in outer space. This is the journey into imagination, where you'll star in a special effects video demonstration and explore the frontiers of your own mind. And here, the world of motion. Sit back, relax, and have fun riding through a moving experience. The land, a floating excursion through the incredible bounty of tomorrow's harvest. The universe of energy, 80,000 solar cells on this roof will enable us to ride on sunshine.
EPCOT Center officially opened on October 1st, 1982. Following a grand opening celebration, guests were invited to head beyond the now iconic Spaceship Earth and explore what EPCOT Center had to offer. Sitting at the back of Future World was World of Motion, presented by General Motors. With a circular building in the shape of a wheel and ride vehicles spiraling up into the show building, World of Motion offered a visually appealing first impression for guests, one to entice them to enter the attraction.
Getting around in our world of motion is what this popular Future World attraction is all about. Whether it's the history of transportation or the future of transportation, it's here and everybody has a favorite.
I thought it was done very well. It was very educational.
It's nice the way they take you through the funny side of it first and then bring you into the educational side after. I think that's a good idea.
I thought it was great. It was really entertaining. I liked all the caricatures and showed you the history of the vehicles. And it was really good, and the kids liked it too.
I like going through the tunnel, actually, with all the lights and everything, and the cars at the end. They are beautiful.
Well, I like the idea of what's happening in the future. My favorite part was the public transportation of the future and also the automobiles of the future.
The new concept cars that they have now, they're very interesting.
It's just fun. It's, a lot of different things and a lot to see.
There's something for everybody here.
Walking into the main entrance and through a short indoor queue, the now iconic theme song began to play. Composed by the iconic Buddy Baker and with lyrics by the as iconic Ex Atencio, instead of creating a dramatic journey through history or advancements, World of Motion, which still had a focus on history and advancements, took a more light-hearted stance on its content. With comedic gags and bright colors, the attraction sought to engage its guests differently than the other attractions in the park. It's Fun to Be Free suited that idea perfectly. With its catchy tune and fun lyrics, the song acted as the perfect anthem for the transportation pavilion. Boarding their ride vehicles, guests immediately went outside and spiraled up the show building, experiencing great views of the park and waving down at other guests heading into the show building. Upon entering the building, guests were immersed in a variety of show scenes telling them the story of transportation. I'm not going to go over the entire ride here because it would take a really long time, but I'm going to talk about some of its highlights though. The attraction featured many elaborate scenes that showcased the history of transportation in a lighthearted tone, such as this one, which is one of my personal favorites, that shows the invention of the wheel. Another iconic scene of World of Motion is the traffic jam, one of the most visually impressive and dynamic scenes of the attraction. Again, this scene shows the comedic, lighthearted, yet educational elements of the attraction. Following the physical show scenes, the ride vehicles went into a couple of projection surfaces which displayed digital media portraying other forms of transportation, becoming more abstract by the end of the sequence. The attraction ultimately ended with a look at a future city named Center Core. After the attraction, guests disembarked their ride vehicles and headed into the Trans Center, the post-show for World of Motion. The Trans Center featured a variety of experiences and smaller attractions for guests to experience that both continued the educational theme and continued to spark curiosity. The attraction lasted for 14 years in its original state. As the case with sponsored attractions, the sponsor usually wants updates to their attractions. Updating an attraction reignites popularity and has the potential for an additional return on investment. So, World of Motion closed on January 2nd, 1996. Imagineers worked with General Motors to create the next evolution of a transportation-themed ride, known as Test Track. Test Track was created in partnership with General Motors and aimed to achieve a different goal than World of Motion. This time, the focus was to educate riders on vehicle testing procedures instead of the history and evolution of transportation as a whole. This new ride concept was ambitious. Walt Disney Imagineering created something that hadn't been seen before, and it was a difficult task. The attraction experienced a lot of issues during its construction. At one point, the entire software running the attraction had to be entirely rebuilt, as it simply could not accommodate the attraction scale and maintain a reasonable ride capacity. All of the issues led to the ride's opening date being delayed from 1997 to 1999.
In other words, Test Track rocks! Brace yourself.
The ultimate automotive experience.
I love that commercial so much. The first incarnation of Test Track educated riders about vehicle testing at General Motors. Essentially, riders were human crash dummies. Riders were placed in a variety of tests to see how a real car was tested in a GM facility. The ride was a huge hit for EPCOT, providing it a big thrill attraction to advertise in the 2000s. Riders experienced a variety of tests throughout the attraction. These included the hill climb, rough road test, brake test, environmental test, road handling test, and of course, the iconic barrier test. Test Track was undoubtedly a hit attraction, but like World of Motion, it couldn't last forever, at least in its original state. With another contract renewal meant another update to the attraction. This time, General Motors switched their sponsorship to Chevrolet, a subsidiary of General Motors. So technically, it was still the same company sponsoring the attraction. This update to the attraction saw a relatively quick construction period, reopening in December 2012, the same year that the original attraction closed.
Create a reimagination of the future of transportation. Test Track, presented by Chevrolet.
The reimagined Test Track attraction is a collaborative effort that showcases the best of Chevrolet design and truly the best of Walt Disney Imagineering.
This attraction is truly an exciting experience.
Now all we need are the keys.
Hello. How may I assist you?
I just wondered whether you would be good enough to perhaps fire up new Test Track, presented by Chevrolet.
Stand by for remote attraction launch.
3, 2, 1.
Ah, I love that music. Instead of taking guests into a car testing facility, riders now entered a digital version, the SimTrack. This is the version of the attraction that I personally have the most experience with. In it, riders got to design their own digital cars and have them tested on the SimTrack, while experiencing a variety of test categories on the attraction. Test Track 2.0 had 4 tests that riders experienced. These were the capability test, the efficiency test, the responsiveness test, and of course, the power test. Although Test Track 2.0 retained an identical track layout, the ride experience had changed greatly. Disney went in a totally different direction with this new version, aiming to create a more modern and futuristic version of the attraction. One of the biggest features of Test Track 2.0 was the attraction's pre-show. In it, guests got to design their own car and have it synced to their actual ride vehicle and have it tested with them throughout the attraction. This new feature was innovative. It added a lot of rewritability to the attraction and was one of my personal favorite parts of Test Track 2.0. The attraction itself fully committed to the digital theme, fully utilizing projection surfaces and black lighting to create the digital atmosphere of the SimTrack. Test Track 2.0 retained its popularity and continued the legacy of the iconic EPCOT attraction. However, its time was still limited.
EPCOT is always in a state of economy. We are constantly looking for ways that we can enhance our park. And we have a long-standing relationship with Chevrolet, one of our corporate alliance partners who helps us do just that. They're very focused on innovation and the future of how we will travel across this planet of ours, which is why I'm so pleased to tell you that we're working with Chevrolet to once again reimagine the test track experience. We're reaching back into the history of the pavilion, taking inspiration from the original World of Motion and bringing that spirit of optimism to this next iteration of Test Track.
At Destination D23 on September 9th, 2023, Disney announced that Test Track would undergo another reimagining. Originally set to retain the Chevrolet sponsorship, it was later switched back to General Motors later on in development. I personally remember sitting at Destination D23 when this was announced. The excitement in the room was electric. A new version of Test Track was so exciting, and I personally found it so exciting that this new version would retain EPCOT's spirit of optimism and have callbacks to World of Motion. Test Track 2.0 officially closed in June of 2024, and a fun fact, I was actually there for its closing day. Disney wasted no time in getting construction going for this new version of Test Track, with Disney later announcing at D23 in 2024 that Test Track 3.0 would open in 2025. Later on, Disney would confirm that Test Track 3.0 would open in summer of 2025, and just recently, Disney confirmed that Test Track 3.0 would reopen officially on July 22nd, 2025. Compared to other projects in development around Walt Disney World, Disney kept it relatively quiet on Test Track 3.0, providing rare updates here and there, and only giving us 2 pieces of concept art to work with, both of which I've shown in this video. So, in June of 2025, Disney begun cast member previews for Test Track 3.0, and nobody really knew what to expect for this new version of Test Track, as we didn't really know what was going to be inside of it. And let me say personally, I think this is the best version of Test Track that we've ever seen. Disney has permitted filming for Test Track 3.0 previews, so you can find plenty of POVs for the attraction online. And I really enjoy what Disney did here. It feels like the perfect callback to a classic EPCOT attraction, and is filled with plenty of references to OG EPCOT attractions. My favorite reference is when they say, "It's fun to be free," and the iconic theme song plays for a couple of seconds. All of this being said though, EPCOT has retained a transportation attraction for its entire lifespan. General Motors is the only company that's kept a recurring sponsorship of an EPCOT attraction since the park's opening. There's a lot of value in a sponsored attraction. The company sponsoring is able to promote their product in a new environment while reaching a wide variety of potential customers. And the park is able to advertise a new attraction and be able to split the bill on initial construction and attraction maintenance. And in the case of General Motors, their partnership with Disney has proven to be a success. Disney has created 4 world-class attractions with General Motors, and I love all of them. It's clear from these attractions that it's always fun to be free. Thank you so much for watching this history of World of Motion and its following attractions in EPCOT. Anyways, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content just like this. Leave a comment down below letting me know which version of this attraction is your favorite. In addition, leave the word car in your comment for a shout out in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all real soon.